Imagine this scene. You're at a high-end religious festival. The music is playing, the wine is flowing, everyone is feeling righteous and secure, and suddenly a rough, dusty farmer walks in, smelling like sheep and fig trees, and he just starts screaming.
That is quite the image. And honestly, it's the perfect way to describe the opening of the book of Amos. This isn't a polished diplomat. This is a shepherd from Tekoa, a total outsider crashing the party of the northern kingdom of Israel.
And he doesn't just speak, right? The text says the Lord roars from Zion. It feels visceral. But what struck me reading these first few chapters is how clever Amos is. He's actually a brilliant strategist.
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic bait and switch. In the first chapter, Amos starts listing off all these judgments against Israel's enemies. He points to Damascus, Gaza, Tyre, Edom. He says, "For 3 sins, even for 4, I will not turn back my wrath."
Right, and if you're an Israelite in the crowd, you're cheering. You're thinking, yeah, get 'em. Those guys are terrible neighbors. It feels patriotic.
Exactly. He's building rapport. He's getting them to nod along with the concept of divine justice. He circles closer and closer Moab, Judah, until finally in chapter 2, the trap snaps shut. He turns that same finger of judgment directly onto Israel.
That's the moment the room goes silent. Because the accusations against Israel aren't about foreign policy. They're uncomfortably specific.
They are brutal. And notice what he focuses on. He doesn't start with, "You're worshiping the wrong statues," though that comes up. He starts with economics and human rights. He says, "You sell the righteous for silver and the needy for a pair of sandals."
That phrase, for a pair of sandals, it really stuck with me. It sounds like they've completely commodified human beings, like a person's life is worth less than cheap footwear.
That's the core of Amos's message. He's calling out a society that is incredibly wealthy and religious on the surface, but rotten underneath. He talks about them trampling the heads of the poor into the dust. It's graphic violence, but it's economic violence.
And he doesn't hold back on the wealthy elite either. In chapter 4, he uses a phrase that made me laugh out loud even though it's harsh. He calls the wealthy women of Samaria cows of Bashan.
It is harsh, but in that context, Bashan was known for its lush pastures and fat cattle. He's painting a picture of people who are pampered and well-fed, shouting at their husbands to bring them more wine, completely oblivious to the fact that their luxury is built on crushing the poor.
It creates this terrifying contrast. You have these people bringing sacrifices every morning, bragging about their tithes, acting super religious. But Amos says God hates it.
That is the most shocking part of chapter 5. God basically says, I despise your religious festivals. Stop singing. I won't listen to your harps."
That's heavy. It's essentially saying don't try to bribe God with worship songs if you're cheating your employees on Monday.
Precisely. Amos argues that you cannot separate theology from ethics. If your religion doesn't result in fair treatment of the vulnerable, it's just noise. It's worse than noise, it's offensive, and this leads to that famous warning about the day of the Lord.
Right, the people seem to be looking forward to that day, like it's going to be a victory parade.
And Amos bursts that bubble. He says, "Why do you long for the day of the Lord? It is darkness, not light." He uses this nightmare scenario. It's like a man running from a lion, only to run straight into a bear. He manages to escape into his house, leans his hand against the wall to catch his breath, and gets bitten by a snake.
There is no escape. That's the message. The inevitability of it is suffocating.
It is, but, and this is crucial, Amos isn't just a prophet of doom. There is a sliver of light in chapter 5. He keeps repeating a phrase, "Seek me and live."
So it's not too late?
There's a window, but the definition of seeking God isn't go to more church services. It's found in that famous verse, "Let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream."
I love that imagery. A river isn't static. It moves. It cleans things out.
Exactly. In that arid region, a wadi or stream would often dry up in the summer. Amos is saying, I don't want your justice to be a seasonal trickle that disappears when it's inconvenient. I want a perennial river, constant, powerful, and life-giving.
It really forces you to look in the mirror. It makes you ask, is my life, or my society, characterized by that flowing river, or are we just the cows of Bashan, enjoying the pasture while the storm gathers?
That is the question. Amos reminds us that privilege brings responsibility, and if we ignore the sandals, the small injustices done to the vulnerable, we might find that the lion has already started to roar.
A sobering thought to end on. It sounds like a book written 2,800 years ago is reading our mail today.
Some truths, unfortunately, never go out of style. If you have been blessed by this, please like, subscribe, and share this joy with others. God bless.